Hey, all you creatures from cyberspace. Thanks for joining us on another episode of the GraveTalk podcast. My name is Mark, again joined with Garrett and returning guest, Emma E. Murray.
Hi.
Welcome back.
Thanks.
Because John's still out. Give my man some credit.
All right. Well, we told them last time if they're paying attention,
But they don't know
know.
if he's back yet. Maybe
Okay,
he
he's
just
not.
quit.
Listeners, this just in, John's not back. Emma, thank you for filling
No,
in
but he
for
did
John.
get COVID.
Did he really?
He got COVID, so my man is double down. So
That's
shout outs to John. Here's hoping he survives.
He got that rare Italian variant.
Ooh,
I don't know what that
international.
He's just running around saying, Mamma Mia, I'm so tired.
God, here we go.
Emma, what have you been up to? It's been a few episodes now since you've been on.
Yeah. I've been writing. I had a really big book deal get announced, actually, that next summer, my novella When the Devil is going to be coming out. And so I'm really excited about that.
Oh, excellent. That's great.
But yeah, other than that, I fucked up my knee. A car hit my car. I watched The Baby, I think it's called, for the first time the other day. Have you guys seen
The
that?
documentary about the baby, the rapper?
No.
Okay.
It's like an old
Is it just the gif of
horror
that dancing
movie.
baby
No,
from
it's
the
like
early
The man
millennium?
who gets raised as a child?
Yes.
Yes, they did it on Joe Bob.
I just saw that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's called The Baby. Yeah, I saw that way back in the day. I was turned on to that by a friend who was all like, oh, you're into weird fetish stuff. And I was like, not this.
What? No.
Not this.
I thought it was a pretty good movie, actually. I thought it was going to be cheesier. It seemed more like a B movie, and then it was actually better than that.
It's got that 70s, a little bit drug out at times, but honestly, it was a really interesting premise. I like the way it was paced.
Yeah, and the ending was actually really good. I did not see that coming.
I don't know if I've seen it.
It was on
Now
Joe
you
Bob. Go
watch
check out the Joe Bob. They actually have some good
Okay.
dialogue about it.
Well, that's great. Where else can they find your work right now? Anything else you got going on you want to let our listeners know about?
Well, you can still get copies of Exquisite Hunger, my Sapphic Cannibal chapbook at Medusa House, HAUS.com. And if you want actually a signed copy directly from me, you can go to my website and there's a way to contact me there. And I sell those just straight from me.
A signed copy. We got Stephen motherfucking King in the house, evidently.
Thanks.
No, I actually have read it. It's very enjoyable. Pre-ordered that, and it was pretty rad, so check it out.
Thank you.
My copy came with a recipe for human flesh,
Yep.
but I don't know where to source my human flesh at.
I got you, dog.
You know a guy? Okay.
John's not coming back. Let's just put it that way. Great
got-
Talk Podcast.
Wait for the COVID to get out of the system first before you know.
Take care of the meat.
Thank you for coming on. Has there been any books or movies you guys want to recommend before we get into today's movie, Martyrs?
I would recommend Everything the Darkness Eats by Eric LaRocca. That came out recently, and everything by them is amazing. So definitely would recommend that.
Does the darkness eat everything?
Yes.
Did I just spoil the ending?
Damn it.
Is it
Mark.
a mukbang thing where it eats way too much?
What about you, Garrett? Anything?
I rewatched Terrifier 1 because I really like Terrifier 2. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I was just too harsh in the first one. Guess
you?
what? Nope.
You were way too
Was
harsh.
not. It was a short film that should have never been a full-length movie. The second one, though, is still rad as fuck. Terrifier 2 is the way to go. Honestly, if you've never seen Terrifier and you're going to go into it, just start with 2. Done. Let's just solve this problem right now.
There was no problem to begin with. Watch them
Yes,
both.
No, there was. Oh my God. No. We're not going to get into Terrifier again. Terrifier just, again, it just had so much where it did not need to be an hour and a half long. It would have been an amazing 45-minute movie. But anyway, let's see. What else did I watch? I watched something called Natty Knocks with Bill Moseley and Robert Englund. And it was okay. It's okay. We're in a really weird period right now where all these Tony Todd's, Robert Englund's, they're all doing these little side movies, Kill Her Goats with
Kane
Hodder. And bless them, man, there's some really cool, interesting stuff, some great effects and practical effects in these. But man, some of these stories are just not fantastic. So
I would like to see these guys being more, I don't want to say relevant because that's mean, but kind of bigger movies that match their name and
larger
status.
studio
Yes,
stuff. Yeah,
exactly. Why aren't they in the Talk to Me's or some of those movies that are coming out of?
because I think the mentality right now is keep it simple, keep it low budget. A lot of these Talk to Me and stuff like that is fresh people though. You think about it, you're a nobody. Shout outs to the Talk to Me guys. You're not nobodies, but at the time, nobodies who can't just call up Kane Hodder and be like, yo man, swing down to Australia and be in our flick. So a lot of this is kind of amateur, and not negatively, but just amateur type stuff. And so we're seeing them hit.
Well, that's my point. I wasn't saying like go get these guys to be in your movies, but they should be starring in something on par with something like that, I would think.
I also wonder if it's just, I don't know how much these guys charge. I feel like a lot of them would do this stuff pretty cheap.
I mean, seeing
and, like, for
Kane
the love
Hodder in like movies like Death House we did forever ago, that was like a nothing with
But that was
every
like the
single
Expendables of horror. But that was,
know.
I mean, we saw that. That was like CG backgrounds and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, I just
God, I forgot about that flick.
it's terrible. I'm sorry I made us do it.
I enjoyed it for how bad it was, but yeah, it was not great. But no, I mean, it's just really interesting right now because again, I'm so glad that they're still out there doing stuff. I love the fact that they're taking some of these smaller projects. But man, sometimes I'm just kind of like, yo, find that good script and let's get some good names attached to it.
Yes, please. I want to see these guys be in another like couple good roles before we just don't have them around anymore. I mean, they're getting up there in age.
I also kind of, is it better to fade out or is it better to, what is it?
Burn out
or
fade away.
Yeah, that whole bullshit. I don't know. Like, I'm glad they're still doing stuff.
Definitely. Keep working.
Keep working. Get back to work.
Well, once the strikes are over, am I right?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah. Shout out to our SAG.
Yeah. Get your money. Get what you're owed. I watched one that I want everybody to go check out because it felt like nobody except for me and Garrett went and saw it. It was The Last Voyage of the Demeter. That was a chapter in the Dracula novel fleshed out into a full-length movie of when Dracula came over on the boat to England from Transylvania.
Dracula.
But I absolutely love that they use the Nosferatu version of Dracula, and he turns into a bat, and it's very good. All the sound effects are great, and it's all on the voyage there. Stars the guy who was the Onion Knight in Game of Thrones. Can't remember that guy's name, but I love him. So I was happy to see him as the ship captain. And there were some genuine creepy moments,
Good jump scares. The environment and the atmosphere is really well done. Usually when you get like at sea on old timey boats, you get like a lot of CG backgrounds. You get a lot of kind of like you can tell it's a set. Really good job. This felt natural. Everyone really sold it. Even the kid, who normally is a problem in these kind of movies, just from acting experience levels, really nailed it. Really fun.
The way this film ended, I kind of want to see the next one. I know there's probably not going to be a next one, but like seeing Nosferatu, Dracula, and like a top hat, like going into jolly old England, I was like,
spoiler alert, but yes,
it's Dracula.
I know.
Everyone knows the story.
The chapter aspect of a classic monster like Dracula is a great idea. Do a series of like 4. Everyone loves trilogies. Well, Hollywood loves trilogies. Do 3 movies of different parts of Dracula's life. You could do like a romantic one where he actually finds like a love, and then like that whole thing fucks up and really kind of sends him down like the darker path. And there's so many options there that you could really delve into and kind of do like standalone stories that all have like a linking thread.
You could do any of the classic Universal monsters and pick a chapter.
Frankenstein's pretty one note.
I mean, think about it.
You're not going to like cut to his house and be like, oh God, the water bill's due again.
When he goes into that old man's house and they're sharing that cigar and that scene.
A lighthouse situation?
What if it was like an Odd Couple with the monster and the old man smoking that stogie?
Yeah.
I'd tune in for that. Come on.
I don't know.
You didn't wash the dishes again, Frankie.
I think they'd be better as a TV series. Give me 30 minutes of that. Okay. I don't want an hour and a half of that.
That's fair.
I just got done complaining about some things should not be that long.
Go watch it. It's streaming now.
Is it streaming already?
Yeah. I don't know if you have to rent it or buy it or whatever, but it's out digitally.
Snap. Real quick, to loop it back to me, because that's what this podcast is about, really. I watched Cobweb and The Boogeyman.
Right, I saw Boogeyman show up. And I was like, hey, it's finally here.
Yes, that drug its fucking ass getting to streaming or any way to purchase. Boogeyman was pretty solid. I didn't think it had a great plot, but man, a competently made flick. Very creepy. Jump scares are top notch. I thought they did a really good job with that.
Is it worth the $15 asking price?
God, I would say 10 is a great price point for it. Other than that, stream it. If you have streaming option, definitely watch it. Cobweb, bang on. That was actually a really cool flick.
I've been really wanting to watch it, especially watching Lionsgate fumble its release, putting it out the same week as Oppenheimer and Barbie. That was a dumb.
Sometime you got to roll the dice, baby.
I don't know what they expected to happen. Like
snake eyes.
Like every single human being went and watched Barbie that weekend. There's no eyes for
there's
Cobweb.
Barbie showings that are still sold out.
I know, it's
We're
crazy.
like a month out now at this point.
I mean, it was a great movie. But
Barbie was fantastic.
Wild that that's not like the number
best horror
one
flick of the summer.
Easily.
So, a world where women have power. Get out of my... No, I'm just kidding. How's it going, Emma?
All right, well, let's talk about the movie today. We're doing 2008's Martyrs. Now, this was originally a French... It still is, by the way. It's not originally. It didn't change. This is a...
When we took over France, we took over their movies.
We're calling them freedom movies now.
Remember that bullshit?
Yes.
That was so dumb.
Yeah, I remember that. No one ever did
You know,
that.
we should bring that back. We should just start calling them Freedom Fries again,
like
just to
it.
see if they catch on.
Next time you go to the Dairy Queen, I want a Blizzard and Freedom Fries pronto. Let's
I want
go.
a Big Mac and give me a large Freedom Fry.
So Martyrs is a French and Canadian joint. It was filmed in Montreal.
Joint? It says directed by Spike Lee.
It's like a co.
I thought you meant like a Spike Lee joint.
Oh no, isn't that what they say? It's a joint when like two people do
Yes,
it.
they do say a joint venture.
Yes.
But they don't usually, they say joint venture. There's usually a second word.
Okay, well, I feel like my listeners know what's going on.
They do. I just thought it'd be great if it like Spike Lee presents.
So this one came out in 2008 in France. Immediately, it was hit with some controversy based on just how brutal this movie ended up being, and it got looped into a movement of films called the New French Extremity. Emma, do you know anything about that movement? Because the director...
Did you say extremity?
Yes.
I mean, it definitely derived from the word extreme, I'm assuming, but okay. Extremity also means like limb, so I didn't know if it was like, okay.
Yeah, no, the New French Extremity movement, Pascal Lagier, sorry, I'm going to butcher
Pascal.
every name.
We'll call him Pascal from here on out.
I mean, it was a movement of movies that are very, very brutal, but I kind of think that this Martyrs is more on the fringe of that, because honestly, it's like the brutality is necessary. It's not really, in my opinion, extreme to be extreme. It's not pushing that boundary to push the boundary.
I'm excited to get into that discussion because I think there's definitely some scenes where it does do some of that, but I think you're right. The extremeness of this is very relevant to the plot itself.
Yeah, I think that's the big reason he was probably not happy with being lumped into that movement.
I also
there's
wondered the projected age of the main characters, if that also triggered a visceral response from viewers, which made them kind of think that like everything was a little bit more extreme than it actually was.
I hadn't thought about that. That actually makes sense.
There was moments in this movie where I'm just like, wow, these are very underage girls. I mean, granted, the actresses that are in the main plot are not, but at the same time, like just the way the story's played out and the expectation of what they went through at the age, there was quite a few scenes that felt way more intense than they normally would had it not of
and like the beginning, like in the flashbacks with Lucy, you mean, like
some of that, but also just
so
you
young.
know when they're teens, adult teens. I don't know how old they are when the actual main plot takes place, but you know, putting them in tank tops and white cotton panties and just very virginal type imagery and stuff like that came across very purposeful. But again, when you see some of that, your mind instantly kind of just connects young in certain aspects. And I think that may have played into some of people's reaction to this, because if you look at some of the stuff that happens in 2008, easily on par with other stuff that's out there that's not getting thrown into the mix.
Yeah. I remember when I first saw it, I was actually surprised that it wasn't more extreme based on the reputation it has.
So the director, Pascal, said that he originally got the idea to do this movie after watching Hostel. And I was like, that actually makes sense. Because when I was watching this, I was like, this reminds me of that vein of type of movie.
Like a way better version.
Sure. I think the torture in this movie has an explanation where it's not like Hostel, where it was just like, hey, rich people like to torture people for fun because they got the money and time or whatever. So I'm glad that the movie put a little more emphasis on the reasoning that we're seeing this extreme torture.
I enjoyed Hostel for what it is because I like some, torture porn kind of stuff, but this is not that. I think that people are wrong that they lump it in with that.
Hostel was just really at the time one of the first big quote unquote torture porn type films.
Yeah.
And really that movie leaned heavily into, now sit down, we're going to watch some gore.
Yeah.
And it didn't have a lot of bearing on the plot at certain moments.
This movie has the, I don't know why they always
distinction.
There's always, when these movies come out, they always say that, people left the theater.
Of course.
People vomited in their seats. And I'm like, I don't believe that anymore. It just happens so often. I'm like, who are these people? They're so weak in the stomach going to these horror openers, and they're just vomiting in their chair.
Maybe, like you hire certain people for certain things. Like this guy's really good at laughing, so you bring him to your comedy show. Maybe there's like that one guy who throws up at every horror film. They're like, invite John.
God.
This is going to be such a good soundbite for us.
Yeah, we want to make this be a press release.
Yeah.
People vomited in their seats for this one. This one is very visceral. So
I'm a professional horror vomiter.
Right. Let me see your card. It says it at the bottom. The Weinstein Company acquired the rights to this, and then Bob Weinstein was so revulsed by the film that he refused to put it in theaters. So it went straight to DVD.
But then Harvey was like, I got this, my dude.
So this one went straight to DVD, so it never got a theatrical release.
That explains why it's probably not available on Blu-ray right now in the States, because of the Weinstein. A lot of movies right now in the Weinstein pantheon, like the rights issues and stuff, because of all the bullshit, can't be released So I wonder if this is one of those films.
It could be. All right. Well, this one directed by Pascal Laugier. It was also written by him. You might have seen one or two of his other films, The Tall Man, starring Jessica Biel, and Inside. I never saw Inside.
Inside is great.
This one stars Marjana Alou as Anna, Mylene Japinoy as Lucy, Catherine Begin as Mademoiselle, and I think that's really all we need to know.
You could have said any names, and I would not have known who you're talking about. I did not know our main characters had names until they said Lucy at one point, and I immediately forgot Lucy's name.
What do you mean, man? Anna's screaming Lucy through half the movie.
I know. Again, it's so ancillary to what's actually happening on screen. The names just were like in one ear and out the other. I mean, that's not surprising for the GraveTalk, but this movie specifically, I was just like, girl 1, girl 2. I was like, here we go.
Currently on Rotten Tomatoes, this one has a 64% out of 39 reviews and 69% with the audience out of 10,000 plus.
Did I beat you to it? Let's do it again in unison. And go.
Nice.
Here's what the back of the DVD says this movie's about. A stunning masterwork and unforgettable experience, says Fangoria. Prepare to be shocked, terrified, and awed by one of the most ferocious horror films ever made, says FearNet.com. I wonder if they're still around.
I'm about to say.
Like nothing you've ever witnessed, this harrowing journey starts with two young women hell-bent on avenging the brutal kidnapping, torture inflicted on one of them when she was a young girl. What they encounter is a nightmare so terrifying and a mystery so powerful, it will make you question the world as you know it. It didn't.
Did it really?
This box going hard. Brilliantly acted, exquisitely photographed, and boldly conceived, Martyrs represents a new breed of horror film. A stunning masterpiece that transcends the genre, says Dread Central.
Ooh, transcends. That's a little reference there.
Yeah. I
nice.
like it.
Subtle back of the box. We got you.
We got it. Well, what did y'all think of Martyrs? Emma, you actually wanted us to do this one.
Yeah.
It was actually requested by other listeners as well. So
was it really, though?
It was.
Because I watched this and I was like, is this Emma just like writing in under like 5 different names?
No. Listener Jeremy also wanted us to
Shout
do
out
this
to
one.
Jeremy. What's up, my dude? Let me give you like the minute plot synopsis real quick and then we can get into the details of it. So basically the whole premise is there are girls that are being kidnapped and you don't really know this. It kind of plays out in, over the course of the movie. Girls getting kidnapped and tortured where they are trying to get them to transcend to a place of self-awakening, transcendence, that they can actually like see the afterlife. Basically, the whole premise is like, some of these martyrs, which in this movie is women, younger women have the more capability to go to that place where maybe they can experience the afterlife or what lies beyond. And you can tell this by seeing their eyes and the change that happens within their eyes, and there's a group of people that are running these experiments to try to find out what that is, what exists on the other side. If we can send someone over and pull them back, can we find out what's there?
So, Emma, what is it about this film that makes you call it your top film? One of the tops?
I mean, it's in my top. It's not my top film, but it's definitely up there. It's one of my favorites.
Take that, Babe, Pig in the City.
Is that number 2?
I don't know. It's her list.
Oh.
What? No.
Put your list away. We're talking about Martyrs, not Babe.
What I love about it is the way that it twists halfway through. That really got me the first time I watched it. And also just like the whole second half, which is the part I know a lot of people don't like, is what I love the most. And the ending.
Wait, people don't like the second half?
Oh, yeah.
What the fuck?
I know, right? Thank you, Garrett.
Point.
Yeah, that's the whole point,
Okay,
right?
all right, okay.
But yeah, I remember when I first saw it, I walked away just like, God, that movie's going to stay with me forever. And I love movies that just like really stick with you and make you think and fuck with you. Mm-hmm. And this is definitely one of those.
I would definitely say this is one of those movies that will live in the pantheon of my thought process when I think about horror movies. Now, not all that's great, but it is pretty solid. Like I love the fact that the main twist of the movie is smack in the middle. This movie's like an hour and 40 minutes long, though, which at times felt a little unnecessary. But once it played out and the whole second half just changes, I was like, okay, no, I get it. I see why this movie is as long as it is. It does not mean there's not moments that can be cut down. The montage of torture in the last 3/4 of the film could have been cut down by maybe like 3 minutes and we would have lost nothing. But overall, I mean, this movie definitely, it did a number on me. Like it caught my attention. I watched it last night at like 3 a.m. So I was like,
nice, perfect
half
time
asleep,
to do
and
it.
I was like, oh no, let me tell you, the first time that like girl pops up on the edge of the bed, every light in my fucking upstairs was on. I was like, well, we're not sleeping now. I was sitting up in my bed watching this flick. I was like, okay, screw this. But it really, cinematography is fantastic. There are some shots in this movie that I think deserve a round of applause on their own.
Oh yeah,
where she
beautiful.
shoots the down comforter and all the feathers are in the air, and she's like just looking down at the under the bed. And you can see under the bed the person while the feathers kind of fall like snow.
The blocking with her in the sun too, like that whole the tension in that scene and the way it was shot is so beautiful.
There's so much great filmmaking in
Mark,
this.
you're like rolling your eyes.
No. It's I like this movie.
Yeah, no, it's I mean, there's a lot here to really bite into, and then you get it, and we'll get into it later. But then you get into the message, the premise that this movie really has something to say. Because the first half of the movie, honestly, MacGuffin. You could just throw it away, and it wouldn't stop the movie from being what it is. It does help. It definitely makes the movie what it becomes, but
it's still important.
It feels disjointed until the whole thing plays out, and then you're like, okay, cool. Mark, let's get into it before I get into my critiques. What do you think of it?
One of my first notes in this movie was, is this movie going to turn into one of those it's all in her head bullshits?
Yes.
And I was like,
called it.
The first half of the movie, I was like, oh no, please don't be that simple. But it had turned out to be something more, so I did appreciate that.
Yeah, you would think I would recommend a movie like that.
Yes.
Hey, everybody likes what they like.
Garrett!
It's okay to like those movies. They're not all bad.
I don't like bad movies.
Whoa. Hot takes here at the GraveTalk.
Did you hear that Sixth Sense? Did you hear that Fight Club? You get fucked in Emma's book.
We're going to get flagged for fake news propaganda on Twitter now.
No, I think you can do it. It's all in your head story well. But meaning, watching this, I was like, this is just too blatantly, it's all in her head.
No, if it was that, it would have been.
The thing is, though, is yes, because the first time that thing pops up on the bed, the girl, and then when she cuts herself in the shower, when they're still at the orphanage, I was like, oh, this is in her head. This is survivor trauma. This is like PTSD manifesting itself. I mean, immediately called it. And yes, about a third of the way through the movie, I was pissed off at that. I was like, if I'm supposed to sit here for another hour with this all being in her head while this other chick tries to figure that out or come to like realization of like, oh, wow, it's not real, I was going to be pissed off. But about halfway through the movie, they're just like, fuck that. That's not important
that would have been
anymore.
a bad movie if that was all it was.
Which I appreciate that it was not the entire pivot of the film.
It becomes another movie.
It does.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely,
the two recent movies that come to mind that actually did such a hard pivot, Barbarian and In Fabric.
Oh, yeah,
Both those movies took hard turns.
And I hated Barbarian, but I love the first half.
So you can
In Fabric did an excellent job, I thought, actually. I know you guys didn't like it as much.
In Fabric was a little too disjointed. It felt like a vignette film. I
like that, though. I don't know.
But again, the connections, the thread between them, get it? This is why you pay me the big bucks.
Yeah.
Just didn't seem as solid as this movie did. Because again, the whole like, oh, it's in her head in this movie, you're like, well, okay, well, great. We just blew our load on that. Like, what are we going to do with this whole thing? And then you realize like, oh, no, that is essential for the whole plot in the second half. And I mean, I love the fact that it was not throwaway.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a subversion. It was actually
just a twist.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So to answer your question, I enjoy this movie. I would recommend it.
It's a long way of getting there, but I appreciate it.
I have my issues with the ending, only because I wanted the movie to take a fucking stance.
No,
Mark. It did take a stance.
Well, did it? It's very interpretational.
You're wrong. You wanted them to be like, here's what heaven looks like.
Yeah, I wanted
whoa.
I wanted the movie to have the balls to tell me exactly what's going on the other side. This movie kicks off with a girl running out of a factory. She's clearly been held as a captive. She is in matted clothing, tears running down her face, limping down the street with nobody around.
It's a white tank top and white cotton panties, very virginal, very like young child looking. And yeah, she's young.
And right out the gate, you're like, man, what the fuck is going on with this poor girl?
This threw me for a loop, though, because I was like, oh, I don't want some fucking bullshit. Like, let's just watch young kids get tortured for the sake of getting tortured. I didn't know, because most French films, when they like high tension and stuff like that, sometimes there's just like lean into the gratuity on purpose.
Yeah. Like that Extremity movie we were talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
This movie, we get it, Emma. This movie, though, uses that kind of to set the pace, the tone. Then we cut to the police doing a little documentary or a documentary crew like being like, this is where they found her as the credits are rolling. So it's kind of like a little bit of backstory. So you kind of know what happened, but you don't know, like she won't talk about what happened to her, but you know that she was tortured. She ends up in an orphanage, an orphanarium, if you will. None of the kids are connecting with her. We see like through montage.
I mean, she's like very traumatized. So she doesn't want to connect with them, it shows.
But then out of nowhere, this one girl like ends up becoming her friend. That's Anna, right?
While Lucy is at this orphanage facility, they're doing the documentary. They're really trying to figure out who did this to her. So they start just kind of surveying what's going on, and they see that Lucy and Anna have become friends in this orphanage.
Correct.
So they pull her over and are like, hey, we need you to try to get some info out of Lucy so we can go find these guys.
And so they try to use it. And then she catches on. She's like, I'm not going to tell them anything. Because she runs upstairs and sees Lucy like slashed her wrist in the bathtub, like cut herself up.
Right. Lucy, at this point, we see that Lucy is self-harming, but Lucy says that someone was in there and did it to her.
Yeah. And we got our first jump scare, which is basically this like monster girl. Not monster girl. She's a very fucked up girl who looks like she's been tortured. Her skin's all jacked up and cut and like slothing off her. It's pretty gross.
She's like, when you first see her, you probably think she's a monster.
Yeah, they refer to her as a monster in all like the materials. So
she's like perched on the end of the bed, with like glowing eyes, and I was like, oh
she's
shit,
very monstery at first, and then she gets more human.
Still didn't know what movie we were dealing with because I went in blind. I didn't look up anything because I just wanted to go in.
Well, once I found out Emma recommended this, I was like, there's not going to be any supernatural element. It's going to be some like young lesbian love thing with some like gore scenes. And I was almost right.
We just didn't have a surgery scene with someone getting something removed.
Yeah, and I love excision. No doubts there. But
well, that's true.
But the point, it hits all the Emma notes here. But the point
That's
is,
why it's one of my favorite movies.
I know. You have a type. So anyway, we see this. She cuts herself, and then we just smash cut.
Oh, we jump ahead about 15 years.
15 years, yeah. We cut to a family having breakfast.
They give us just enough about this family dynamic where the youngest daughter is like a swim meet champion. The son is off to college, but apparently he was a very bad student and cost the family a lot of money to get his tuition.
Shout outs to the mom for calling that kid out on that. Like, we wasted so much money on your stupid education. I was like, damn, go hard, mom.
The mom's outside digging a hole around some water pipes or something like that.
Yeah, she's doing all the land maintenance.
She comes in and starts waving a dead mouse in the family's face. And I was like, Mom, what are you doing? I'm eating cereal over here. Like, what's going on? And that's when you should have known this family's fucked up.
But I love how they give you just enough to make you care about the family. And you're like, okay, I'm getting to know these characters.
It's the slice of life where you're like, oh, this is just your regular French family out here doing their thing, right? I see what you did there.
All right, thanks.
We get a banging at the door. Or does she just wander in?
No, she bangs at the door because the daughter goes, what asshole's here? Or like she's like, who's this asshole? And I was like, wow. You don't remember that? The subtitles is like, who's this asshole? And the dad was like, I'll find out. And it was like, yo, your daughter's like 13. You let her just cuss. They're flipping each other off at breakfast.
Look, dude, once you win a swim meet, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Sweet.
Okay? Go swim.
All right.
Keep that adrenaline going.
The 30-meter doggy powder. I'm on it. He opens the door, and then surprise, surprise, there's Anna with a shotgun. Lucy. God, girl number one just takes that shotgun and just blows this dude back. He like slides down the hallway. Great shot because it's from behind. You see the hole like explode. You see him fly backwards. It's intense. This caught me off guard. I was like, oh, fuck me. Okay, we're into this. She walks in the house to a man on a mission at this point, turns the corner. There's the mom like, wait. She's like, nope. Blast.
Yep.
And it's basically that like meme from Sunny. It's like, so I came in blasting. Like she's just pow, 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 pow.
And these kills are all shown 100%. Like it doesn't like cut away and you just hear a shot. Like you watch this family get mutilated with this gun.
I feel like they do a pretty good job making it look realistic too. Like,
yes, the
just
effects are
gory
amazing.
enough, but not over the top, like silly. You know?
Like, it's not Evil Dead, like spraying blood everywhere.
Yeah. Now the young daughter runs off upstairs to go hide, and then the son is sitting at the table, and she turns and is like, "Did you know what your family was up to?" And I got the impression that he did not.
Yeah, I think they probably didn't. The kids,
because they do this like flash between the eyes, like she's like trying to sum up, like looking at his eyes, like what does he know? But then later on in the movie, she's like, I even killed the kids for you, trying to appease her demon monster. But she blows the son away.
Oh, that scene, though, is so good because the tension between them and how she's not, you can tell she's really fighting herself about whether, cause she doesn't want to do this. Like, she's not an evil person. She's just a fucked up person. No, she's been, like, tortured beyond, like, the ability to come back.
Evil is a too intense descriptor. But the thing is, she does later on say, like, I even killed the kids and I didn't have to for you. Like, she made a conscious choice to indiscriminately kill people who are not responsible for this issue. I would also
say, though, that when she's wrestling with it, that she's not sure if they know or not. And that's part of why I think that she's like, I just can't gamble on that whenever I've come this far and I've already
I saw it more of a like if I let them go, I can get screwed over in this situation. But that was just me.
I don't think she was thinking that. I don't think.
Because the girl, though, like she kills the girl upstairs. So she runs upstairs after she kills the son. Goes upstairs, like gets on the top of the bed, shoots a shotgun into the comforter. This really great, beautiful, down feather scene. And then does she shoot the daughter? She misses
her under the bed, and she gets out, and then she starts running, and she gets her in the back.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. But she does kill these kids, and there's no way that girl could have known. The 15-year time frame alone would have been like, this girl's not old enough to have existed.
It's highly unlikely that they knew about their parents' dungeon below the house.
I think she was just wrapped up in the moment. Yeah. I think she was like, all right, let's just fuck it. We'll do the whole village.
But that's an interesting question, Emma. You saying that Lucy's not evil, but I mean, it is Lucy doing the actions. Whether or not it's mentally justified or not in her head, I think she's still evil, even though she was made that way.
I think evil is whenever you purposely do something that is wrong like that. Whereas I think she's trying to get her revenge, and she's trying to get revenge for the other women that have been tortured because she knows of at least one, and she's trying to stop the cycle of torture. Well,
in the context of the movie, though, let's put it in the context of the movie, not what we know as an audience member from the end of the film. At this point, we only know that she has this after she kills these people, she gets attacked by that monster girl again. Mm-hmm. And she has grabbed a straight razor, is slashing up Lucy. She's just getting cut up. This thing is trying to kill her. She calls her friend Anna, who's sitting in a car eating a sandwich. And she hears the phone ring. She throws her sandwich on the ground. Just put your sandwich down. You don't have to waste the food just because you got to take a call.
I agree
so
with
she's
that.
She's like, where are you? What happened? And she's like, I killed him. I did it. And she's like, don't move, I'm coming over. She's trying to get the address and stuff like that. So anyway, as the monster attack is happening at the house, eventually Anna shows up. And so Anna's like, it's okay, I'm here now, and starts sewing her up. Mm-hmm. And she's like, what happened? But I think Anna kind of knows.
I think she wants to believe Lucy. And that she doesn't 100% know until she sees later.
I don't think
she believes it at all.
I don't either.
I think she's just in love with Lucy. It's that Thelma and Louise thing where it's just like ride or die.
The fact that she's going to try to help the mother out of the situation to me means that she did not believe Lucy was seeing this demon girl.
I think that that's when she has doubts about whether any of this is real at all, is the thing. I think that she's not sure if the demon is real, and that she doesn't think that's probably real, but that she definitely thinks that these are the people that tortured her. But then she starts to think maybe this is all just in Lucy's head.
She's like, how could you know? And she's like, I know these are them. And so she's kind of on board, okay, if you feel that confident. The problem is, after seeing her cut herself, because she knows the monster girl's not real. Anna knows this. She knows that Lucy's fucked up and is dealing with something, and she's there for her. She's like, all right, whatever you're saying, I still got you. I'm going to sew you up. I'm going to take care of you. But she kind of knows. But then when Lucy says, is yelling at the monster girl, because as she's getting sewn up, she's yelling at the monster girl, I did this so you should be happy. You should be fine now. I even killed the kids for you. That's when I think Anna's like, whoa, okay, now you're just killing to basically this is beyond revenge. This is just you trying to deal with this. And maybe not that, you need help, but maybe she's like, okay, maybe this is not the way to go about this. And I think that's where the change for Anna really happens. Because then we find out that the mom who got shotgun blasted in the stomach or the back isn't actually dead. And so she's going to try to help her out. Anna is going to try to help her out. And then Lucy finds out and then goes ham.
I mean, yeah. And you see both sides of that, right? I see it because it's Lucy's sure that this is her tormentor. But then you see Anna's side and she's like, maybe this is just some lady. And
I think initially she was a little bit more like, how can you be sure? But then like she holds the picture up, Lucy does. I think she was on board for killing the parents. Like, okay, fine. I understand you had to have revenge. But I think it's the killing of the kids where she's like, okay, you've gone over the line. This is not about revenge now. You're trying to feed something that doesn't exist. Because Anna knows that monster girl doesn't exist for the most part, like 99%, because there's no way. And plus the wounds and stuff are indicative of like self-harm, especially if you think about the orphanage.
The ones on the back seemed harder to explain, though.
Yeah.
Except with a straight razor, you can totally reach. I'm actually doing this visually so the audience can see it. Fucking audio podcast. Anyway, yeah, with a straight razor, you could actually reach your back and slice your back.
It would be hard, though. You would definitely be having to try.
In the way that she was doing it, the length of that straight razor, you could get it because it was upper back. Oh, we can try it out right now. So we get a razor. We'll do this on the fucking podcast. No, agreed. But that's what I appreciated, the fact that the back ones looked a little bit hard to get. Now, I don't know if this was intentional. Did you notice that when she was in the closet after getting cut up by the... No, this had to be a fuck up. In the closet after she gets cut up by the monster on her back and she's hiding... Like she's in the closet and her shirt's ripped, but there's no cuts on her back.
I did not notice that.
Yeah, there's a couple times where they show her back and there's no cuts, but
that's just a mistake.
Clothes are cut, and I was like, well, where the fuck did those go? And that's where I thought, oh, this is in her head. But then I was like, oh no, this is just a goof. Like someone did not see this and then filming was like, fuck it, go with it.
Looks good enough. Most people won't notice this.
Yeah.
So the demon girl is going to continually to attack Lucy, even though it seems that her job is done. And
we don't know why this monster is attacking Lucy, though.
Yeah.
Right. So do you think that somehow in Lucy's subconscious that is creating this projection of her trauma in the form of this demon woman, do you think she somehow knew the mom was alive? Because the demon seems to subside a little bit after the mom is fully put down.
I got that impression. I got the impression that maybe the monster's not going away because maybe the job wasn't finished. And then when you see the mom move like oh my God, I was like, oh, the monster knew. That's not the case, though. I can guarantee you now that we know what we know, that's definitely not it. But
yeah. I thought it was more just that it was her manifestation of her guilt for
the survivor's guilt.
Yeah, as leaving someone behind, and that she thought it would be appeased by revenge, but it's showing us that revenge doesn't take away that guilt. It doesn't solve that problem, and she's surprised when it doesn't, You're correct, but Mark, to your point, the movie does give us the implication that maybe the monster could have known. Again, knowing what we know after watching the film, Emma, you nailed it. Yeah, and at this point in the movie, you're still maybe thinking as an audience that the movie's trying to make you think is it in her head or is it real? And that would make sense that you think the movie's trying to give you that doubt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Anna is going to try to help the mother out of the house while Lucy's collapsed on the bed, passed out. And I think she locks her in the room.
Yeah, she gets attacked by the monster girl again.
Yeah, so she puts her in the bed, and while she's sleeping, Anna bandages the mother and starts to try to wander out of the house. And she's like, as soon as we get to the tree line, you're on your own. I'm like, to do what? Collapse and die? There's not much this mother can't even get down her hallway. You're just going to leave her on her own. I mean, I appreciate the gusto, Anna, but this lady's gone. You know what I mean?
And let's point out, prior to this scene, because this is where everything starts really ramping up, I would say this is where the gas starts getting pushed down and we do not let off, at least plot-wise. Up until this point, we've seen 2 flashbacks of Lucy being tied to a chair, being force-fed some kind of gruel, porridge-type nastiness. We see a little bit of what Lucy went through when she was chained up at this place. And it's usually when she's looking at the mom, she'll flash back and think of the torture, which I appreciate the movie didn't delve too much into because it really did give the impression of repressed memories. Even though she was struggling with this stuff head on, she had repressed so much of the actuality of it that I think the monster was her manifestation of those memories. Almost she didn't want to remember the reality, but this monster was what she was going to struggle with.
And it's a pretty realistic way of showing how PTSD can be triggered by something, and that a memory that you don't have because it's repressed can just pop up that way.
Yeah. And it's at this point when, as Mark said, when she's helping the mom, when she says, I'll help you to the tree line, you're on your own. I was like, well, she's dead at the tree line.
Maybe she was thinking we'll get you there and then I'll get her out of the house and we can call someone.
I think she was like, fuck it, I'm not leaving my Lucy.
Lucy.
Yeah, but I'm just what was she? I don't know how she thought she was going to live.
Also, when she kisses Lucy after killing the family, it was, and Lucy's like, no, not now. And she's all hurt, oh, shucks. I was like, no, Anna, no. Yeah. You should have addressed this well before this moment right now. That's when I was like,
bad timing.
When that happened, I was like, this is an Emma movie. I was like, this is going to be and they actually dropped that whole plot point, though, throughout the rest of the flick, other than the fact that you just know that Anna cares about her, which I'm glad they showed, though.
It gives her a motivation to be there for Lucy for this.
Yeah, to put up with it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because she knows that Lucy is fucked up in her head about the monster girl. I think she's always hip to the fact that this is self-harm when she's getting cut up. But anyway, the point is as they're dealing with this,
Lucy wakes up and she's trying to get out of the room. So once she realizes she's trapped, she just smashes out of the window and then just comes up and start bludgeoning.
Like a Tommy Boy level moment.
This scene is so intense and brutal. Lucy just comes at the mom with a hammer and just doesn't stop.
Yep.
And there are scenes of that woman's head getting crushed in that it shows, and you're just like, oh my God.
Interesting in that scene, though, when she hits the hammer, the way the head like bounces is way too realistic. Like someone had done some research of like, this is what it looks like when you bash in bone. And it was like, fuck you.
I think that's one of the things that makes this movie so shocking to people is the way that it is so realistically done. With a lot of the gore and torture is that a lot of movies, I think, kind of cartoonify it, in my opinion.
Which I actually kind of prefer. Honestly, I love my horror movies with a little bit more of the like fantastical when it comes to violence, because
I do not.
Obviously, sometimes these movies that go realistic relish in the fact of like, look how realistic we made this violence. And honestly, at that point, it becomes voyeuristic and not a tool for the film. And in this one, though, when she's hammering that head, it's just out of frame. It's just blurry enough because it's too close to the camera. She's in focus. The head's not. You see the vibrations and the give of the head as it's being hammered, but they did not hyper focus on it, which is exactly my problem with that kind of realistic violence. When you're basically voyeuristic about it and you're just like relishing in like, ooh, look how gross we made this. It takes me out because I'm like, now you're just jerking off to this. This movie uses it to heighten the intensity, which I'm okay with. I love realistic violence in that aspect.
Yeah,
Green Room is another great example of that.
Well,
yes.
Yeah.
This movie is a great example of that.
What's an example of a movie that just jacks off to this stuff?
Hostel's a good example with the eye scene. It's very much like
I love that one.
Check this out. But also, I would say Terrifier 1, the chainsaw scene, while fun and interesting, it is over the top, but they go very realistic with it. And we don't need to see the entire length of the cut. Again, there's just moments you can tell they're like, look what we can do.
Yeah, but sometimes that, I don't know, sometimes that does work though. Like in like Irreversible, like they don't pull away from those realistic scenes.
Oh yeah. I mean, movies like Nobody and John Wick and stuff, you can have realistic violence and have it be intense. This movie Martyrs is a great example of, how you can have that intensity and not have it be the focal point.
I think it has to have a reason.
Exactly. It's the sauce that goes on the pasta,
That's kind of a gross example when we're talking about gore.
Fuck yeah. Check out my OnlyFans where I compare violent acts to food. It's going to be really confusing.
You slurp spaghetti into a microphone.
Oh, God.
Anyway,
OnlyFans, Mark.
Mark's like, kink unlocked. So anyway, this is the only, so they take the box cutter and slash down the length of her forearm. This is the only scene in the movie where I was like, this is unnecessary. We didn't need to see.
I love the cuts though, showing that it's her and the monster. Like, I thought that was not
the actual act, just how long they show the cut, like ripping through the flesh. It was just a tad long because again, this movie's done such a good job of not like bathing in the hyper gore. This is one of those moments that was like we're really proud of this effect.
I could see that.
And it just felt a little gratuitous at the moment. It doesn't take away from the movie overall, but this was one time I was like, okay, we get it. She's slashing the whole arm. And then we see the other one. I'm like, okay, come on.
So you're saying you should be an editor? Because I feel like all you ever do is say like, where can we cut these movies a little bit?
Not even so much that, but yeah.
For me, the most shocking point of the movie is watching Anna use a rotary phone in 2008.
Oh my God, Mark.
I was like, wait a minute.
Who doesn't love a rotary phone?
Yeah, 2008, who still's got one in use?
Have we done that in a horror movie where someone has to call the cops and they go get a rotary phone? Like, I don't know how to use this.
Kids listening don't even know what the fuck a rotary phone is. It's the one with the dial that goes...
I had a rotary phone in 2006 because I was allowed to have a phone in my room and I was in high school, but my dad didn't want me getting calls in the middle of the night, so I had a real bell inside it. So whenever the phone rang, it was like super fucking loud.
So we could hear?
Yeah, so we could hear.
Well, it sounds like your dad was just doing like, hey, this is more of a, I'm going to catch her when she's using the phone when she's not supposed to.
Yeah, it was kind of weird that he had a rotary phone.
Yeah.
Like that he dug that out to be like, here's your
that's
phone.
wild. Anyway, that was a joke.
Madness is what happens now. So this is about the halfway point of the movie. And again, I found myself at this point starting to get slightly annoyed with the flick. Because I was like, we know that this monster is likely not real. We know that Anna's on board for whatever bullshit Lucy's got, but maybe she's having second thoughts. And then I was like, I looked at the time and I was like, I've got 40 minutes left. Like, what the fuck are we going to do here? Like, I don't want to see her tracking down one by one, you know, these people who are responsible, because we've done this song and dance. The monster slashes her throat. Slashes Lucy's throat, and it just like she starts bleeding out. And then when you also realize
hold on. I thought that Lucy did this herself. Like, she is so distraught that Anna didn't believe her.
She did.
But they don't show the monster doing it. They only show Lucy cutting her own throat. Well, that was Lucy's choice beyond the monster.
Well, the intercut back and forth because she's fighting with the monster at the same exact
I saw her doing that with the wrist cuts or the arm cuts.
Well, the monster's holding the blade. The first wrist cut, the monster's holding the blade.
But when she kills herself...
Yeah, you only see her hand doing it.
Yes, to me, that represented Lucy chose to do that, and it wasn't the demon doing it to her.
Oh, see,
Does that make sense?
Ooh, I like that. I had thought it was the demon, like in her mind doing it, but I like that idea.
The only person in this world that believed her and had any stock in Lucy was Anna. Now she's lost that.
No. Dude, I'm on board with this. This is a rad concept. My problem with it is I don't think Lucy ever possessed the ability to do those kind of actions on her own. So while we saw her cut her own neck, and I love the concept that basically she was like, fuck it, I've got nothing else. I still think in her mind, she thought the monster was doing it to her. And maybe it was that trauma.
For me, it's a better film if Lucy's doing it to end it all.
I mean,
but Lucy did nothing without motivation. And that's the thing is, and I mean,
but she lost the one thing in her life, Anna.
I know, but she didn't see Anna like that. Because again, Anna was secondary to her
the way that
revenge.
She's freaking out about you didn't believe me either. You're just like everybody else.
Dude, I'm not arguing with you. Your idea is so like I don't see her doing that.
I saw her do that.
Cool. I think they're both good ideas. Okay,
no,
guys.
let us fight over it.
Shake hands, make up.
No, he's off the podcast.
Well,
I'm off the podcast. Emma, you're on your own.
I was shocked to see that Lucy was dead halfway through the movie.
Yep.
Regardless of what entity was doing it. Here we go. Now we're doing that 90-degree turn. It's a new film.
Part.
Says you. No, it is. So Anna is just kind of living in this house for a little bit longer. So the time frame of how long she was in this house, I was like, man, she's been here like a couple days. You know, what are we talking about?
Like that long?
She's there for about 48 hours because remember when they come in, I want to say military group, but it's not a military group. They come in, they're like, we've been trying to reach them for 2 days.
Oh, yeah.
So it's been about 2 days.
Right.
But again, leave.
Right. If murders have happened, I think you would want to get as far away as possible. But then I started thinking of like, well, maybe Anna just has nowhere to go. You know?
Yeah,
like
I mean, maybe Lucy was all she really had too. Just like how all Lucy had was Anna. I mean, she was also an orphan. She had her own trauma.
No, that's part of it.
Like
she was her family.
She's lost. She's like, I put up with all this shit because you were my person.
And she doesn't want to leave Lucy's body, is really what I took of it.
She's also like, super traumatized by the whole thing. I mean, imagine that someone you love, they're like, here, I killed all these people and I need your help. And then they kill themselves in front of you.
And they show Anna cleaning Lucy's body. So
yeah, she loved her.
She clearly's got nothing else to do except focus on this moment/tragedy because what else does she have in the context of the movie? Now, in reality, leave the fucking scene.
Please.
I mean, God, after they kill the family, they're like, let's just hang out. And I was like, no, stop touching things and leave. And then after this happens, it's like, go get a fucking Motel 6. I don't know what they have in France, but you know.
So I wonder if the next part of this movie, Anna is going to discover inside a cupboard stairwell down into a dungeon.
I love this so much.
What if Anna didn't find that and she hung around long enough for the group to show up? Would the group still have imprisoned her? Or would they have let Anna go?
No, they would not let her go.
No, they wouldn't have let her go. No way.
Because they were pissed at what they did to the mom.
Right, but part of me thought that because Anna frees this woman who ultimately gets shot, I was like, maybe they would have let her go because they still had somebody in prison down there. I don't know. But you're right. This group is very nefarious.
They were like, hey, fresh blood, this is a nobody girl. She's already here.
Yeah, you're finding yourself at the wrong place at the wrong time, Anna. So,
Again, if she would left the scene.
Right. So I don't know how she just managed to just randomly open this cupboard or what. It was just like, what?
Well, didn't she hear that noise? She heard a noise. Yeah, she heard a noise and like turned and looked at the like cupboard like, what the fuck? And then like opens it up.
It's kind of like some knocking inside of like a vent or something.
Yeah, it sounded like a just house settling noise, but it clearly sounded like metallic, and you would not have heard that coming from. I would not have
explored that personally.
I would have looked, but I don't know if I would have gone down the fucking hole with the steel grade ladders and stuff like that.
Whole thing, you would definitely at that point you're like,
I can't believe I'm gonna reference this movie again, but Barbarian also had a fucking tunnel.
Spoilers. No, I'm just kidding.
Inside a house, I would have been like, nah, dog, I am out.
If it's a makeshift like tunnel, no, I'm out. If it's a steel bomb shelter level like facility, get out too.
This is creepier, dude. A sanitary like
someone's got money, and that's the thing is they can make a body disappear.
Yeah.
Also in Barbarian, they had like lives and stuff. Like this girl's got nothing to lose. Like you might as well explore this weird. She doesn't realize that she has more to lose yet.
True.
God, Emma's the worst friend to be like, should we go in this haunted? She's like, yeah, you got nothing to lose. You got nothing.
You go first.
Go on in, Garrett.
Tell us what's in there.
After Lucy's death, Anna really, I think, is struggling with the whole ordeal. Like, I think this girl was just crazy. I don't think this ever happened. I don't think anything
She's dissociated from the whole situation.
But the minute she finds this underground dungeon, she's like, oh my God, everything Lucy said was true. And as the viewer, I was having that reaction too. I was like, oh crap, this really did happen.
That's the best twist, right?
Yes,
like that you're like, oh my God, it's real.
Well, let's talk about this discovery scene really fast because I do want to touch on it because there's a couple things that really set the tone for what we're about to get into. She goes down into the murder facility.
She finds a hatch, just like in Lost. Yes. I was like, oh no, another hatch scene. Here we go. It
is like bomb shelters, surgical steel grade like hatch with a drop down ladder. I mean, it is, again, someone has money and can make a body disappear. Leave.
Yeah.
But she decides to go down. And in this hallway, she comes across 4 large illuminated pictures of these people who are being tortured or, dying and stuff like that. And they focus on their faces very particularly. And this will come in later. Then she goes and finds a room where there is a girl chained up. And at this point, we find out that this is the facility where they have been kidnapping girls and doing experiments on them. They're doing experiments on these girls to basically try to get them to transcend into a point being a martyr so they can reach this level. And then you can tell by their eyes. Their eyes indicate when they've transcended. Except this chick that she finds has a metal device over her eyes. How the fuck are they going to tell?
Is a good point.
It is a.
I had not thought about that.
It's the one identifying thing that they'll need, and they decide to fuck with that area. Like even if even if they're going to take it off before they transcend her whole skin has been like fucking like.
Yeah, don't need the skin.
It's degloved.
Find out later. You don't need the skin.
You don't need the
But the thing is, don't fuck with their eye area. If you need that to determine, don't fuck with their ocular area.
So this is a sensory deprivation visor that has been bolted into this woman's head.
Oh, God, now, it's like the worst.
The thing is that we find out there's multiple stages to this process. And Anna is going to be one of the only ones to get to the final stage.
She has to face the end boss.
Yeah, exactly. Well, look, 17 years of trying to make martyrs happen instead of just victims. You got to try all kinds of methods. You got to think outside
the death box, yes.
You know what I mean? So let's maybe it's like, we'll keep her eyes out of use for like 2 years, and we take the helmet off, and then she'll ascend faster because the eyes haven't been used for a while.
They do say sensory deprivation helps drive them to that point of like almost insanity.
So I think it makes sense.
Except for the fact, again, like the skin and stuff is going to be so fucked up. Now maybe they're going to cut it away or something like that. I can't get into it. It just felt very awkward that in this movie they're all like, the eyes are so important. And I was like, and you just fucked with this one's. I was like, this does not. I thought it was more of a visual thing that they didn't think through.
But at the end of this movie, we just get a bunch of skinless Franks, like from Hellraiser. And that's really what she said. She whispered into Mademoiselle's ears, like, I have such sights to show you.
She says, I am in hell. Help
that'd be hilarious if that's what she said.
They just found another way outside of the cube to get to the Cenobites. That's all that's going on here.
Come to daddy.
But whether it makes sense or not, the sensory deprivation visor thing is just like, it right away shows you just how fucking horrific these tortures are. I mean, she can barely breathe. It's like pressing on her nose.
Her hair.
Her hair is shaved down the middle.
No, it's not shaved. It's actually worn away from the metal. Like if you put something on your head for long enough, you can wear the skin so rough that the hair will stop growing. Like it rubs like the follicles and shit. It's bad. So the hair is, it didn't look like the hair was shaved. It looked like it had been worn away just from wearing that metal thing for so fucking long.
And it's bolted to her skull.
Yes, which I didn't know that part until like later on. Lucy or Anna has to take a screwdriver and like pry these staples out of her head. And I was like, oh, get fucked forever. She's been on her knees so much that her knee bone is coming out. Yeah. This girl she's just like toast. Yeah, she is trash.
How long do you think she's been in here?
5 years, 6 years, 6 years. That's my bet.
I don't know. You think someone could survive that long?
How many girls at one time are you guys fucking with? One at a time? Multiples? What's the
we know multiple because Lucy had seen a girl, so we know that they do.
I really thought that the factory warehouse district and this house were two separate places.
I think that they are. I think this is like the new one.
Right.
Like, that's what I thought. Like, I think that like they
had to leave the old place because they were like,
and the old one
are going to look around there.
This place also had multiple cells. That place had multiple cells.
Well,
so I'm sure there's more than one girl at a time.
The CEO of Torture Town, like, basically is like, we spent a lot of time setting this up. The mom shouldn't have been this careless. The woman who got shot earlier with the shotgun,
so we do get a flashback of Lucy's escape.
Yes.
Right. So this woman comes in with a tray of food or something like that, and she's trying to force Lucy to eat, and Lucy strikes back, and she starts, for some reason, the woman unshackles her from her chair, which just has a hole with a bucket. Every one of these rooms has just like your basic toilet.
There's a hole in a bucket. Dear light. No,
I don't know that song.
No,
you don't. It's like a kid's song.
Yeah.
Oh well. Lucy starts to struggle and shoves her captor back, and the captor trips over like this iron.
It's a half a loop where you basically chain people to the ground.
Yeah.
Right, and you hear her ankle snap.
Not that I would know.
That ankle snap made me go, oh. That was a good Foley work on that.
Yeah.
Lucy starts to run out of the place, and she starts hearing moaning from another room. So she stops in and is like, oh, shit, there's more people in here. You can see in the woman's eyes, she's like, help me. And this is ultimately...
Help me.
This is going to become the demon that Lucy sees during all of her hallucinations when she's doing these...
Because she has survivor's guilt and felt bad for not rescuing this girl.
And she was just a kid, though,
No, again,
so
it's
feel
totally
that way,
justified.
Of course, and that girl was probably past saving because she's so fucked up looking.
Oh, she's gone.
But she's scared and she doesn't want to get caught again, so she leaves. She doesn't try and rescue her.
One of my fifth notes on my list says, I wonder how much this would have resolved if she just gone to fucking therapy. But man, yeah.
That's the whole point of the movie. Go to therapy.
This is therapy. No.
Question. Does this movie have any themes you think it's trying to purvey in this torture story? For a moment, I was like, oh, is this trying to say something about not believing victims? In their trauma.
I didn't really think that. But
or at least the first half of the film.
Yeah, you could see that. Yeah,
I saw it more of as a way of just that the tried and true revenge is not an answer for trauma. Vengeance is not the solution for your shit. Also, there definitely is an underlying theme of like the survivor's guilt aspect. Like what that can actually do to something. PTSD is the umbrella that covers this whole fucking movie pretty much.
Well, I also think there's actually a theme of like classism and religion, like in the way that like, and it plays into that with therapy, is that in America, you can't just afford to go to therapy, right? So like we can relate to that whole thing, is that these are like poor orphans. So that's like the kind of people that don't get help in France, And so like these are the people that are used as tools for the rich ass leaders of this cult, the same way as like happens in a lot of churches, where they use
where Emma brings down the bourgeois. No.
Oh, they use like the poor people and they're like, give your money, part of it to the church to help us and stuff. And then there's some guy at the top who's got a fucking Learjet, and he's like, oh, God wanted me to buy this Learjet with all your money.
God does love aviation.
I think there is a little bit of that theme in this movie.
Yeah, I can see that.
Well, yeah, it's the rich haves, like basically like we're going to find out this secret because we have that capability.
We're not going to go through that. We're going to make someone else go.
Well,
through that.
I definitely they explain that. They're like, we've done so many experiments. We've shown that only young females have the ability to actually reach this point.
But that's not true because there have been people throughout history when they're showing all the pictures. Agreed,
but the movie does not. Well, they're all
and
girls.
I do think
they're all girls.
I think there's a guy that's being tortured in one of the pictures.
The one with the chest, that's a lady.
The one that's like on a crucifix looking kind of thing?
Yeah, I think that's a lady because they said that.
Well, I did think that there was like a whole misogynistic thing to that where it was like that women, because women do have higher pain tolerances, it would make sense that they would pick them
that's totally
because they're
relevant.
less likely to just die because it hurts so fucking bad.
They can put up with more. They can tolerate it. Yeah, they can get to that point. Yeah, no,
they're gonna
Mademoiselle
persevere.
basically talks about that, like being like, we've found through like the ability, like, you know, women, younger girls to be exact, can basically withstand and deal with more of this and persevere through.
And because of the way that you were brought up as a woman, it's like men are more likely to be rebellious. They're more like, they're less likely to be people pleasers. Like the fact that you're
we're not
going to
put up
go
with
through
this
all
shit.
this
We're
and
just-
then tell someone what you saw, like, you know, like there's this, and to be a martyr, like women are more likely to be martyrs in a lot of scenarios, you know?
So Anna takes this one, flashing back to the present. That was Lucy's flashback, how she escaped. Anna helps this woman into a bathtub. She's trying to clean her up a little bit. She is in super rough shape. She does see that the sensory deprivation visor has been bolted to her head, and she starts removing the bolts with a screwdriver by prying
staples.
them
They're
out.
giant staples. Bolts is different, but yes.
Yeah. So you just see the blood gushing out of as the bolts are removed. This woman's screaming in pain, and when the visor finally comes off, it looks like it takes some of the skin with it.
No, it does.
From around her face.
Yeah.
And you're just like, holy shit.
Sweat and
whenever-
oils like will attach to things, and when you rip it off, like
Whenever Anna like covers her with the towel and she's like holding her, it's just like you're like, oh God, she's such a good person in that way. Like she's so sympathetic to this
you
woman.
can't fix everyone, Anna. Jeez, go to therapy.
Well, look,
No, I'm just
Garrett,
kidding.
some people have what they call a servant spirit, where they are just happy and content to serve other people. And Anna's definitely that. We saw that with Lucy. She's now doing it to this
Look,
girl.
as someone
that's
who's
what
gone
makes
to
her
therapy,
such a good martyr.
as someone who's gone to therapy to get rid of my caretaker like tendencies, yes, I know, trust me. But the point is, when she put that towel over her head, I was like, that would be so painful for her. A towel.
No, but it's also blocking out the light
I
because
know,
she's
I
not
know.
used to it. So it's like helping filter it. I
know.
thought I almost cried. It made me like so like when I rewatched it, like I was like, oh my God.
The thing is, as someone who's
She's
actually
trying to
had
help
open
her.
wounds and like used a towel to cover it up and stuff, I was like, oh, it hurts so bad when you do that. I was like, oh, she's trying to be nice, but just made it worse. But anyway,
This woman has endured so much, I don't think she cares about the pain right
she's
now.
not like, not the
terry
towel.
cloth. Nice.
She'd rather have this sensory input stop. So Anna goes and passes out in another room. Well, she hears a noise upon waking up. We find this woman. She's now just at the foot of the tub, like cutting into her arm with a knife.
Whoa,
And you're just like,
She's
holy
looks
shit.
like she's cutting off her arm.
She is.
Like,
She's trying to cut her hand off.
Yeah.
Anna tries to stop her and gets slapped around a little bit, and this woman's just intent.
Slapped around a little bit. A
little bit.
That's underselling it, but yes.
She's knocked over. This woman continues to cut, and at some point, she just starts rubbing her face into the wall, and you're just like, holy shit, what is going on?
Yeah.
We find out later that basically her sensory deprivation thing is she thinks she has roaches on and under her skin, and she's trying to get them out.
So while the woman is starting to advance at Anna, this woman gets shot in the head, killed, and is dropped. And behind
That's
Anna,
kind of surprising when that
I was
happens
like,
too. You're like,
what?
whoa.
I was like, is
Full of
Lucy still
surprises.
alive?
I thought so too. I thought Lucy, or the monster came back, and I was like, what the fuck? I thought it was going to be the big surprise the monster was real. And I was like,
That would've been so lame.
I thought that girl survived. The fucking monster girl was
monster's
escaped
real.
the downstairs because it was left open. I was like, holy shit, the monsters are on the loose, but no.
But instead, it's men in black suits with shotguns, and clearly an organization of some kind comes in. They're like, we've been calling this house for 18 hours. What's going on? It's off the hook. And puts the phone back on.
Let's just call them the organization going forward so we don't have to try to describe what they are.
That's fine. They handcuff Anna to the wall, and then later bring this little table and some chairs and set it out, and then they strap Anna to this chair, and this old woman comes in and sits down in front of her.
And this is down in the facility. This is not upstairs in the house. This is down
Right.
in the torture basement.
More or less where they found the woman.
Mm-hmm.
So she starts asking questions like, what's the deal here? What's going on? And they're back.
the deal
Yeah, hey man.
Why is it? No.
Spill the beans. What's happening? Some of the other people were upset. It's like, man, we had to kill that woman after all that, Mademoiselle, this character who runs the organization, is going to start spilling the beans about what's going on.
Spilling the beans seems like such a way to undercut the intensity of the scene, but I love it.
Roll that beautiful bean footage. They're slow cooked according to our secret family recipe with a touch of brown sugar, a blend of spices, and rich molasses for an authentic Boston taste. I've only shared our secret family recipe with Duke, And he's not talking. Right, Duke? Where's Duke?
So what does she say to Anna?
She tells her about the Martyrs and like kind of explains the pictures that she'd seen earlier.
She got like a Joker 1989 like death photos.
Yes,
like
it's the ones from the wall.
book.
It's the ones from the wall.
Yeah.
And she's like, look, check out the eyes. Look at the eyes. Look at the eyes. We always have so many people these days are just victims. They're not good enough to become the martyrs. It's very rare to get a martyr. In fact, women make better martyrs. So basically, she's like, you get it? You know what we're doing down here? Are we done here? Get her in the chair. And that's basically what happens. And Anna becomes our next victim.
For the next, like, 10 to 15 minutes, 10 minutes actually, I don't want to be too hyperbolic.
It's pretty
We
long.
see a guy just basically slowly just break Anna down. He's beating the shit out of her, slapping her, feeding her rough, like just being a real fucking monster, just trying to break her spirit to the point where she's just ready to give up. But this is all in works to get her to the point where she's ready to give up, but also transcend to that point of like, I can survive anything because I have a higher power or a higher purpose than to get through this. Now,
But think about empathizing with Anna in this moment. Her whole life was Lucy. She thought in that moment that Lucy was crazy, killed herself. Now she's a fucking victim to the same people that they were trying to stop. How heartbroken do you think she is going through this? That's probably what helps lead her into this martyrdom state, I think. Because at some point through all the beating and stuff, she starts hearing Lucy.
she does.
That's the figment of the imagination that's now projecting as Lucy. We don't actually see Lucy again. We just hear her.
So according to the definition of martyr, now again, we're going to get into some weird shit because at the end of this movie, they use the Latin, not Latin derivative, but the Latin origin of martyr, which actually is in some interpretations witness. That's not completely true. As someone who took a lot of Latin, that is technically correct, but it's not really used that way. And to be fair, martyr has basically developed and changed to such a degree over the years and years and years.
And Mademoiselle, this says Christianity doesn't own martyrdom.
Correct. But a martyr, whether religious or not, is a martyr is someone who dies for a belief. Now, the thing is that belief could be religion. That belief could be like, I believe in crossing on yellow instead of red. You know, like it could be anything. You die for your beliefs. The problem I have with this movie, my only major sticking point, is these girls are kidnapped. They do not have a belief. And based off this whole premise that the organization's using, there is no belief structure that they are basing these scientific in air quotes, experiments on, because there's no common factor of belief. Now, whether it be you're religious, whether it be you believe in taking care of people, whatever, but these do not actually come in play. So these girls or men or whoever that they kidnap do not have a thing that they believe in to push them to that transcendent level. So there is nothing that they can fall back into in their mindset. Now, granted, to your point, maybe her love for Lucy is what she falls back into, but that's not necessarily a belief. That is just something she felt. And sure, I can see the very thin connection there, but that was my number one problem. Is martyrdom is when you die for a belief. And
the real martyr is Mademoiselle.
Yes. And the thing is that's the thing is the organization, I thought they're martyrs because they are just so believing in this end message, this
Well, yeah, it's like the
answer.
perversion of martyrdom because they will kill someone else.
Well, that's why I thought it'd be better
Which
if they
is
took
not
their
a martyr,
members
you know?
and they took their members and then actually tortured them to that point because they
But that's
believed
the
in
whole
finding
fucked
it.
up of it,
No,
yeah.
I know. I completely get it. These women basically, you can see in their eyes when they hit that moment, that martyrdom where they transcend. But I was like, they all fall back into that thing they believe. But these girls don't
That's why
have
it's
that.
partially, I think, a critique of religion is because it's
Definitely.
showing that isn't real, right? That they're trying to force a martyrdom that can't happen because they're forcing it on these people.
Correct. But the fact that, I mean, the fact that it's basically you die for a belief or you are killed because of a belief or something like that, because you could just be shot. Like if someone's like, I don't like the way you open that door, boom, you could be a martyr for that if you believe in opening a door a certain way. But like,
I hope that's not
no,
a
I know
real
it's that fucking tedious, but I'm just saying like to that degree, this really bothered me. This really bothered me because like these girls do not have a belief system they're going to fall back into and use to transcend.
But I mean, I think isn't that kind of the point is that they think it's more pure if they don't all believe the same thing. Like,
They don't have to believe the
you
same thing,
know,
but they have to have some kind of characteristic that basically allows them to fall back into, like the girl with the staples in her head.
Well, that's why there's only been 4 in 17 years, probably
Yeah.
out of hundreds and hundreds of women.
Good point. Good point. But again, that really kind of stuck with me because I was like, your movie is called Martyrs.
Yeah.
Even if you use the Latin base, witness, it's like,
This probably would not have improved the movie anymore, but I really wanted to know more about the organization. Just about
you want to just know more about
I do.
No, honestly, he's not wrong.
I mean, I want to know more.
I think understanding these people would have given me more of a connection into like, I understand why they'd want to find out this. If it's just to find out like, what's the meaning of life? You know, like Weyland-Yutani from Prometheus is a great example of this. Mm-hmm. He wanted to know where they came from.
I mean, Weyland.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Weyland-Yutani is the
company, yes. Yeah. My bad. I'm not that great of a nerd. I apologize. But Weyland, like the thing is though, is he then has a point where he tells us why that question exists for him. Not because like I just want to know, but like with
this is a very basic. No. The question that humans wonder.
Correct, but to give me anything to latch onto to make me feel like maybe I should be down with the org.
I don't think that you should be down with the org. I mean, that's the whole thing. Is I think that they're supposed to not be relatable, and then at the end, whenever you are relating to them, because you're also wondering the answer, you should feel guilty.
Like, I would have loved the 1-2 punch of basically being like, well, these fucking monsters, and like, okay, well, wait a minute. I can see why they're doing this. That's pretty cool. And then like they get the answer and be like, oh shit, no, fuck all y'all. And, like it's like I would love that like that back and forth, that yo-yo effect. But
that's why I said I don't know if it probably wouldn't make the movie any better than what the director and writer was trying to accomplish.
But the experience I could see for you,
I wanted more of that. Yeah. Okay, this is all about
me. You need to have a one-on-one conversation with the director. All right, dude.
Listen, Pascal.
Spill the beans.
Spill them. They better not be pork and beans.
Roll that beautiful bean footage. Some think it's our specially cured bacon, our fine brown sugar, or our delicate blend of spices. But the real reason our baked beans taste so good is the Bush secret family recipe, which I've shared with only one other soul, and he's not talking.
Roll that beautiful bean footage.
Uh-oh.
Let's finish this movie. So Anna's strapped into the chair, and like Garrett said, beat over and over again. You kind of lose sense of time. You have no idea how long she's been in here. I wonder how long her transcendence took. You know, was she in there for like years?
Oh, no, it was about 4 weeks. It was about 4 weeks.
That's so fast.
Well, actually, let me check my notes. It was 4 weeks and 3 days.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
But I feel like she's probably been in there at least a year. That's my opinion.
So?
Yeah. I don't think you get to transcend a martyrdom
to break someone to that point. Yeah.
Not if you believe hard enough.
Well, to your point, they had no beliefs. They were.
I know. That was the joke, Mark.
They cut her hair off at some point. It looks like she's gotten a buzz cut.
Mm-hmm. Well, they cut it like all choppy, Raggedy Andy
and then
style.
like the next time
they
see her,
shave it. Yeah, so there's definitely time passage.
Yeah, so we're missing a lot of this stuff. And like I said, she's going to hear Lucy talk to her. I don't really recall what Lucy says to her in these moments. Do you?
It's basically something that you're like you can do this. You know, like it basically is like you've reached that point. Like it's weird because like Lucy is responding to her like you got this. You're finally at the point where you can handle anything. Basically, like it's the director not trusting us to realize that like Anna got to the point of like she's almost ready to transcend. But like, and again,
I don't think that's true because the director
I know. I'm being a little.
The director trusts the audience a lot. That's why they don't tell you everything. You know,
I was being a little
bit
sassy, but no, it's very blatant. It's like you're ready now, and it was like, okay, got it.
Well, yeah, the blonde woman who's been coming in and feeding her Gerber baby food finally goes something to the effect of, "No one's ever made it this far. You're on to step 4. Congratulations!" And they take her out and put her into
OT level 9. She's ready.
They bring her into this like put her on a gurney of some kind in an operating room.
Yeah. There you go. See the operating.
No, we got it. We got it, Emma.
This contraption they strap her into looks like a hamster wheel of some kind and just kind of rotates her upside down. And this is one of the only times they don't show the gore happening too.
Yeah, they don't.
Which was interesting.
I think that was a good call. Actually, I think it would have possibly
the reveal cheesy. Was so good because after they do whatever they do. Now, real quick, what did you think they were doing to her when you first saw the off-screen pain?
They were installing Dr. Octopus arms on her back.
I thought they were fucking removing pieces of her spine. I thought they were taking vertebrae.
Yeah, I thought they were doing some kind of vivisection.
Yeah. I didn't actually think they were putting octopus arms on her.
I thought they were taking out vertebrae.
That would have been cool, though.
Anyway, so
you're Mrs. Octopus now.
After they get done with this,
that's the only way to be a martyr.
They see them bringing her back to the room, and she's covered in like a white sheet. Just her face is visible. The rest is covered up. And then they put her on this like rack thing. They strap her arms up to this pole and they're going to lift her up. And so she's kind of like basically like hanging by her arms. And as they lift her up, the sheet falls away and she is skinned except for her face.
Yeah.
which was an incredible visual that it was like, oh, wow, I did not see that fucking coming.
Hey, Siri, can you survive being skinned alive? I really want to know. I thought she would have died during this process.
Check it out. Look, you can survive. Burn victims live without skin and stuff like that.
Yeah, they keep you like clean and moist.
Your nerve endings would be going fucking crazy, though.
Oh.
I think I read somewhere that you don't actually die from the skinning process, but your body's just so cold at that point.
Yeah.
Oh, that
because there's
makes
nothing
sense,
to keep the heat in. That you get hypothermia or something like that.
It's that also the nerve endings like fry out like a bunch of it's a whole thing. There's tons of shit. But yeah, no, you don't live through this.
It's quite the
Yeah.
it's quite the visual. We'll just assume that because of her torture, she's built up some sort of tolerance to losing your skin. But yeah, she's hanging, like her knees are on the ground, like no skin on them knees.
It's very religious looking
Talk about
at this
skin
point.
knees.
No.
Hey-o.
Nice. So
Turn her mic off.
So while our surgeon, who is also our guy who is beating her up every day, is washing his hands, taking off his gloves, and he's about to take a shower, they hear a scream. He runs back into the room, and the woman that's been feeding Anna her baby food is like, "It's happening. Oh my God, look at her eyes. Holy shit, call Mademoiselle."
I thought she was getting attacked. And that's the movie makes
So
you
did
believe
I.
like she's like, Michelle, which is the name of the guy. And he like runs in and it's like, you're like, oh my God, like skinned alive. She's attacking him and killing him. I'm like, this
That
is
would've been
crazy. But
too
no,
much.
like she's still alive. And they're like, holy
I thought it was
shit.
going to be like Malignant. Like she somehow
Yes.
has fucking crazy kung fu powers.
No, can you imagine at the end of this movie?
It would have been a totally different film.
I'm glad they didn't go that route. But
That would have been a 5-star movie because it would have given me a real ending. I'm just kidding.
so all these old like fancy cars start pulling up to this house and like it basically is Get Out style. Like all these old white people are like walking in like, finally, here it is, the big day. And Mademoiselle like runs in and talks to, as these cars are pulling up, we see Mademoiselle run in and talk to Anna, and she's like, tell me.
And Anna's like laid out in this like clear tub of blue water.
I thought that was like helping keep
Probably
her
some
alive,
nutrients or
right?
something,
Yeah, they were
sure.
supposed
To
just,
keep her from getting
keep her
hypothermia.
warm and wet.
And seriously,
Hey Siri, no, I'm just kidding.
the effect of seeing Anna skinless with only the skin around her face was so off-putting. It was such a great visual.
Kind of gorgeous though, like
Yeah.
the way that they filmed it, like
Yes.
and it also shows you how desensitized you are at that point that you can think that.
Wow, she's really pretty, like skinned. And I was like, the fuck did I just think? I was like, what the hell is going on here?
Old man George, whoever this guy is, he's like probably number 2 in the occult. He goes at the top of the stairs and he's like, "Attention everybody, Mademoiselle will be out shortly to reveal the secret of life. We've been waiting for this moment for 17 years. Anna, let's take a moment and give our thoughts and prayers to Anna for going through this.
Shout out to my girl Anna, who totally rocked the hell out of this shit.
That also goes along with the whole like critique of religion, right? That
Sure.
now they're trying to be like, oh, thank you to her for doing this
your
wonderful
sacrifice.
thing. Yeah.
It's wonderful. And he goes, she's still alive. She was coherent. The first time this has ever happened in our long history of torturing people.
Yeah, they've only had 3 other people reach that stage, but none of them were strong enough by then to talk about it.
Right.
Like,
He's like, she was coherent. And she, as of 3 p.m., Anna's just, she's no longer communicating, but she's still alive. And Mademoiselle will be out shortly to tell you what has been revealed.
And as that's playing out, we actually cut to scenes of Anna's skinless body whispering into Mademoiselle's ear, but completely inaudible.
yeah.
So we don't know, to Mark's point, we do not know what she said to Mademoiselle.
So old man George, number 2, I'm just making up the name. He goes to Mademoiselle's room and knocks and says, "Everybody's ready. You come in."
It's the bathroom, which I thought was great. She was on the edge of the tub, and I was all like,
Yeah, and Mademoiselle's taking off her fake eyelashes, removing her hat, and I'm like, wait, this is the reverse of getting ready to go talk to people. And he's like, "Did you really hear what's going on?" "Yeah, and it was coherent." Everything's cool.
Yeah, everything was clear.
And she's like, tell me, George, can you imagine what's on the other side in the afterlife? And he's like, no, I can't do it. And then this is where she says, "Keep doubting."
And then bam.
She pulls a gun out of her purse and puts it in her mouth and ends her life.
I think at the end of the movie right there would have been a little bit better.
I actually agree. That's why I think I remembered it being dead for a second. But you're right. It goes back to Anna. So
after that happens, as the shot hits, we cut to black, and then we cut to Anna's body laid out in this tube in the goo, and we slowly zoom into her eyes, and we zoom into her pupil, and then we get white. And like it's 47 seconds of just white visual on the screen, and then we zoom back out of her eye, and it's basically to show that that she's fully transcended and she's at peace, or she's wherever she needs to be with this situation because she's still alive. And then we zoom back out and we see her pupil, and it's got this kind of like weird shape in it. It's not human. I paused it and double checked. It's just kind of to show that she has fully, boom, she's hit that point. And then we cut to a black screen where they pop up the quote unquote definition of martyr, which is not the actual Merriam-Webster definition. And then they basically twist it and like, which actually comes from the Latin word witness. And I was like, okay, nice save. And then we go to credits.
And they show like home movies of like
during
Lucy
the credit,
and Anna as kids again. Like,
which goes
earlier.
to your point, Emma, that what she believed in was her connection and love with Lucy. But again, they had no way of knowing she had a belief system in Lucy.
Luck of the draw.
Yeah. Ooh, thank goodness. So to Mark's point, he's saying the movie doesn't take a stand, and correct me if I'm wrong on this. You're saying the movie doesn't take a stand by telling us what's on the other side.
Yeah.
Okay. I disagree with that because the whole point is when she goes, do you still believe there's an afterlife to one of her associates? And he's like, well, I think so, but I have my doubts. And she goes, good, keep your doubts. And then blows her fucking brains out because knowing was worse than not knowing. And knowing what was on the other side would have fucking totally undercut that. Because you're still left at the end of the movie like, the whole point is she's like, stay in doubt, don't know. That's the meat. That's what you want. And then we, as the audience, are left with that same exact feeling at the end, not knowing, the doubt. So like I
want you to know that I understand the ending of the film.
I know you get it.
But I wanted them to nut up and tell me what was said. That's all. I understand why the movie did what it did. But sometimes I want the dessert at the end of the meal. And then someone covered the check for me.
But we can't know that answer. That's the whole point of the movie.
If she had said like, hey, keep that doubt, not knowing is the way to live your life, knowing what's on the other side, and then to know what's on the other side completely undercuts her message. It would just destroy the premise of the plot.
You want her to come out and tell everybody what she heard?
Or at least tell the audience. Sometimes I want the movie just to answer. That's all I'm saying. So
answer me!
What do you think could have been said? What are the options? I wrote down 4 possible things that could have been said.
Wow, you spent a lot of time on these.
1, Anna tells her that there is an afterlife. I mean, this is part of the reason that I thought the movie copped out, because we literally saw light at the end of the tunnel for like 30 seconds. Okay? So it was already trying to tell us that, she's getting the answer.
Well, we saw a light. You know what I mean? We don't know if it's the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, we saw, and it's a known thing that there can be a phenomenon in your brain with people who've had near-death experiences that they saw a light, but that some people think that's the afterlife, but a lot of people are like, that's the way that your brain interprets this like last serotonin dump, like, and so that light didn't necessarily
not a dump, a deluge.
Mean anything.
Yeah.
Like,
right. But again, things that could have been said is, yes, I saw the afterlife. 2, there is no afterlife. 3, Anna could have lied to this old woman so that she ultimately shot herself in the head. Or 4, she tells her, there is an afterlife, but because of all the torturing you've been doing for 17 years, you don't get to go.
See, I thought about all those things.
Right? Those are the things that she could have said.
But I'm glad they didn't tell me, because now I get to have that discussion with you, wonderful people.
Yeah, and can you imagine if we had that answer, it would totally cheapen the movie.
Would it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're wrong.
Look, 2-1.
I'm not.
Shut up, Mark. No.
This is just how I felt when I was done watching the movie. Again, I said I like this movie.
Don't get me wrong. I did have the initial twinge of like, ooh, I really want to know what she says. But then when we cut to Mademoiselle saying like, do you believe in the afterlife? No, live with doubt. That's the way to, when she kills herself because she knows. Like whatever she knows is so terrible that she doesn't want to live with that.
Or so wonderful. She could be trying to get there immediately, because like it could be that like the whole point of life is to get to the point where you understand the point of life, right?
True,
like that you find the meaning of life in death. And so why continue living if you know like the end, basically?
True, but if we're to believe the heaven aspect of it,
but
suicide
I mean,
doesn't get you there.
It doesn't have to be a heaven.
I know. The movie implies a little bit that it might be something like that, but it doesn't commit to it.
Yeah, so it could be.
I have one issue with that. is the fact that she's a head of an organization that's been doing this for 17 years. I don't believe that she would immediately blow her brains out before telling everybody else, it's there. Let's go skip off to heaven together.
She absolutely would.
And what, there's a lot of reasons why
the
she
thing
would.
is, if it's that distraught or that distressing or that too much to comprehend, she wouldn't want to inflict that on the rest of everybody. I mean, it may just be like, this is too much for one person. No, I'll take this secret to the grave with me.
Yeah, exactly. What if it's like cosmic horror where it's like, you see the thing, and it's too intense and so you have to die or go crazy.
So we're getting into the part of why I didn't like this ending. She's the head of the organization. I can see very few outcomes where she wouldn't relay this to the people that are literally waiting, that have been helping torture these young girls for 17 years.
This is the Oppenheimer situation.
Take her out before she tells everybody else.
This is just you don't know until you can't until you can't cross that line. I mean, you can understand things. It may just be too much.
I mean, I think the only thing that I can come to at a reasonable explanation is that after 17 years of all this terrible things that this entire group of people are doing has caused so much guilt that she's ending it before she spreads that guilt to anybody else.
Yes.
And as a sign of one last, I'm doing a good deed kind of thing.
Or even a selfish deed of like...
Right. Yeah. But the problem with that, though, is these people are going to continue to torture people until they find another martyr.
Agreed.
So the pain will continue.
Agreed. I don't think this is supposed to be the end of that story. This was just the end of her journey of understanding, and whether it was too much or too little or right on the spot, whatever it was, she just took herself off the board.
And just because she did that doesn't mean that she's doing it to necessarily save them. She might not have even thought about the fact that I'm saving them from that guilt. It might be that the guilt's on her so much, like the way that sometimes there's people who murder someone and they kill themselves because of the guilt, but then they're not allowing that justice for the family and stuff. They're being selfish.
This is living proof that this movie did this exactly right, because we were having this discussion. Mm-hmm. You came up with 4 possible options. I came up with those same 4 options. But then we're now getting into Mademoiselle's motives, which then if we wanted to pull that thread, we could get to everyone else's motives involved.
It actually puts you in the same shoes as all the other cult members, right?
Ooh, you're a cult member, Mark.
You've been watching this torture and you're to the point where you're desensitized because all you want is that answer.
I'm taking this to my grave.
I know what answer was said.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, she said there's no loobies in the afterlife. And that's why she blew her brains out. Because
is there Grandy's though? Because either way, you're good.
I need that Luann platter.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Forever in heaven. Luby's is a cafeteria if you're outside of Texas. It's a wonderful restaurant.
No, it's
oh my
gross.
God, we are not sponsored by Luby's. Fuck's sake,
man, I'm going to go there after this. I'm hungry.
It's disgusting.
All right.
Look, maybe I was in a mood, okay? If we come in with moods in movies, we can often not have the experience that was intended.
That's right. You could have fallen asleep during the first 5 minutes of this film and then saw that ghost girl and been like, what the fuck? I'm awake now.
Is that what happened to you?
That's exactly what happened.
One other thing I did want to mention is, when just think about the Spanish Inquisition era, when people were tortured until they were confessing to crimes that they never committed. There's no reason to believe that wouldn't happen in this situation either.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. Or the Salem witch trials.
Yeah.
Same.
This woman was tortured to almost death. And then maybe there was a chemical, like you were saying, the light at the end of the tunnel could just be a chemical reaction in her brain trying to make her body cope with the pain. Mm-hmm. There's no way to believe that. Whatever Anna said
could have been out of her mind by that point. She's like, yeah, I see all this stuff.
So another issue I have with the ending is that being the Mademoiselle.
Was the font they used for the credits.
Well, that's always wingdings or nothing. Fucking cowards.
Wingdings. No one know what it said.
That's the point. Just another, again, I think this movie's great. I think I recommend it. It's just not the answer I wanted. Now, another issue I have with the ending is Mademoiselle has been at this for 17 years, and the first opportunity to hear what's going on.
Or maybe longer. Maybe the torture was only 17 years. Maybe the planning stage was.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
She takes Anna's word as gospel and commits suicide. Wouldn't you want to follow that up with maybe 1 or 2 other accounts?
Any good scientific experiment is based in repeatable results. And also, you have to have a constant variable, which is why you need to believe in something. I'm slapping the table. I hope it's not being picked up on the microphone. My point is, this is a flawed system.
No, but that's the whole thing, is that there would be no way to do this experiment in a way that wouldn't be flawed. Because, like, say you have people who do believe, then they're going to be predisposed to see some kind of an afterlife, right?
Correct.
Or say you have people that are, like, sure that there's nothing.
That's
like,
why you have a control
even if
group
they
and you
see
have an
something,
experiment
they
group.
might be like, it was just my brain firing, you know? And then who's going to sign up for this? Only crazy people. All right, like, and then so you.
I don't think anybody signed up for this. I think this definitely was against their
to have,
will.
no, to have real
what you want.
real
No,
martyrs.
you can
like,
kidnap a bunch of religious kids who believe and have that be one control group. And then you could kidnap a bunch of like, you know, like we believe in Santa Claus kids. And then you could have one group that believes in like, you
Team
know.
Jacobs.
Yeah, you know.
Have them in a room.
Team Jacob for life, baby.
Team Edwards.
You know, that's what I'm saying. Like, I
skin them all.
Look.
Just play.
Sparkle now, you bitch. No, but to my point, I know that sometimes
That's the shirt right there. Sparkle now, you bitch.
I know sometimes
It's
I
a
will.
flayed Robert Pattinson on
my
the fucking shirt.
It's pretty good.
I would wear that shirt.
So I just imagined it in my head with his stupid hair poofed up with no skin.
With that dumb smile, half smile that he's got.
Back over to my original point of like, I feel like Mademoiselle would have taken a few more martyrs down that trip to see if they collaborated the story. I know sometimes I look at these things a little more literally than I need to because I know the whole point of the story. I get it. Again, just as a viewer, for me, sometimes I need to justify these characters' actions. And just her being at this for 17 plus years, I don't think she would just immediately shoot herself without corroboration.
Well, there's two things that it could be. One is that it could be that cosmic thing, right? That when she heard it, that it's like so incomprehensible that like it's not like I need to verify this. It's like a knowledge that you shouldn't know. It's like she can't handle it. But it also could be like people see a miracle and they believe it. Like people who believe in miracles, right? They see something that they interpret as a miracle and they believe it. They don't need to do a bunch of experiments. And these people are believers.
Jesus'
right,
face
like,
in the toast.
Well, think about it. You spend
But I mean, like,
17 years
these
on something,
people
you
are
finally get a
believers.
result. You're going to want
Yeah.
to grab onto that
Yeah,
instantly.
this is something that's really hard to get to happen, right? Like
It's a visceral response. And it's not
so
based
she
in
wants
logic.
to believe whatever she's told, even if it's wrong, you know, because she has devoted her life to this.
But that also goes to Mademoiselle's response when she says, you know, keep doubting.
Keep doubting,
Is the
yeah.
fact that she did believe this. She does, and then now she's got doubt. Is it because of what she heard makes her not like what she heard, or is it that she heard it and she's like, I don't know if that could be true? I mean,
Or
there's
is it
so
that the
much.
purpose of living is to not know what's at the end?
I
you know,
do think
like,
that's part of the intended message that the writer was
that's why
going for.
keep doubting. Like, there's no point in doing this. Like, we're all going to find out eventually anyway.
Yeah.
Like,
Says you.
Now that her quest
okay, immortal.
Immortal, baby. Robert Pattinson style.
now that her quest is over, the point of living
Yeah,
is
what-
no longer there.
exactly, yeah.
So she's going to end it. Yes.
Well,
I know.
that's the quest for knowledge is the fun part, not necessarily the answer, you know?
And living is the fun part, right? Like, no matter what the ending is, why did you waste your life trying to find out what you're going to find out anyway?
Wow,
instead of living
way
your
to
life.
Bring it down.
That's deep.
Jeez.
That's deep.
Live your life, guys.
All you hear is
Oh my
the
God,
podcast.
that's so fucking dark, dude.
Literally opposite of what Emma just said.
GraveTalk podcast.
Well, I would recommend.
Please don't kill yourself, people. If you're having suicidal thoughts, please reach out and get help. People love you. People care about
Yeah.
you. Definitely seek help. Or just talk to someone.
Go to therapy.
Therapy. If you can't afford therapy, there are services out there. We're not sponsored by the call-in Good Help, whatever the number
BetterHelp.
is. BetterHelp. But there's services out there. Seriously, we've been kind of flippant about this. I do want to take a second. If you guys are struggling with like self-harm, PTSD, anything like that, do reach out and get help. I mean, as you've heard, I'm completely fucked up from my life, and I'm sure Emma's got her
yeah.
problems as well.
I think
And
all three of
Mark,
us,
you,
right?
you grew up religious, so fuck, who knows what deal you're fucking dealing with.
permanent damage.
But
That's why he wanted to know so bad.
Yes.
the point, he needs that answer. The point is, though, seriously, if you are struggling with anything or you're dealing with anything, you know, not even struggling, just, you know, reach out, talk to someone, get help. Just, you know,
Talk to Garrett.
you
Reach
can
out specifically
but
to Garrett.
you're going to talk about a lot of weird, fucked up shit. So, hey, you know what? Hey, but anyway, the point is definitely talk to someone.
Yeah, don't do it. You have a reason to live. That's the whole point of the movie, I think.
Well, I'm glad we talked about this one. I enjoyed this movie. I would recommend it.
But you only gave it 3.5 stars.
That's a high rating.
That's actually a good rating.
That's out of 5.
Out of 5,
too
which is why I think we need. This is why we
Oh.
need 10-star
I
rating.
didn't give it a 95 out of 100, so therefore I'm wrong. Is that what you're telling
Yes.
me?
What did you give it?
I would give it a 4.5.
4.5.
Yeah.
This flick. Okay.
Movies that stay with me this much, that like haunt me like that, they are 4.5s or 5s.
You know, I was asking myself, I wonder how I would have felt about this movie when it came out in 2008. I wonder if it would have resonated. Maybe I would have accepted that ending a little more back then. I don't know. I'm curious. But again, a 3.5 is a good score.
3.5 is actually a really good score.
What do you give it, Garrett?
You know, a 5-star movie is a perfect movie for me. As
Is
much
there
as
a 5-star movie?
Oh yeah, there's 5-star movies out there.
Like
I'm
what?
sure I got some on my letterbox.
It's called RoboCop.
Fuck that
God damn it! You guys always talk about RoboCop.
It is. I'm not. Is top 10 movie for me.
Are you
Easy.
serious?
100%.
RoboCop?
I
Really?
like
100%.
RoboCop, but it's not top 10.
Oh, the satire, the action, the gore, it's the jokes. It's fantastic. It is a perfect movie.
It's a good movie.
You know, for me, a 5-star movie it has to hit on cinematography, writing, acting. If it has a good message, it better encompass that message and do a good job of relaying that. It needs to be artistic in its own merits. Doesn't mean it has to be like super artsy and shit, but it has to be artistic in its own merit. It has to leave an impact on the cultural zeitgeist of society. I mean, it has to be pretty fucking solid to do that. This movie, I'm going to put it at 3.5 also, just because it's
Losers. No, I'm just kidding. Come over here. I'm going to flay you guys.
losers.
Oh no,
So, I mean, it's a really good movie. It left an impact. Welcome back to Ratings Talk.
The end.
I am not that stingy with my 5 stars. If I enjoyed your movie and had a good time throughout it, you could get a 5-star rating.
And yet
Anyway,
this one got a 3.5.
That's right.
All because of the endings.
If there was a
specifically.
Lubies in the afterlife,
Oh my God.
instant.
Well, you
5
guys know how
stars.
much I love Goonies, and Goonies is only a 4-star movie for me.
Yeah, Goonies not 5-star.
No, it's not. And the thing is, I have to be reasonable about my movies. I love certain movies, but there's certain movies I just could never give a 4 or a 5-star rating, no matter how much I love them. This is
my rating system. This isn't the world human culture's rating system.
Well, and this is why
I
you're
can
going to
call
be
things
skinned alive,
5s and
Mark.
fine.
True. I mean, I give way more 5s than probably you do too, because for me, it's more of a personal thing. It doesn't have to affect the
absolutely
zeitgeist.
a personal
It's
thing.
just-
I'm not looking
But, like,
for.
he's like
This is
saying,
why you're
does it
going to
affect
believe the
zeitgeist
flayed
and
woman
stuff?
as
Like,
opposed to me, who I'm be like, let's do a couple more experiments. Let's get a couple more
you're going
martyrs
to
in
play
here.
some more women.
Look, I need results, all right? The stockholders.
But you would never know, like, whether that was real or not. Like,
I control the narrative now.
So that's 3 recommendations for us. Listeners, have you seen Martyrs? We didn't mention the remake, but is anybody interested in checking that out with such abysmal scores that it's gotten?
I don't think I can. Like, I'm kind of interested. Like, I'm intrigued
Not
about
at the
it.
price
But,
they're
like,
selling it at.
everybody says, yeah, it'll just ruin the original for you because it's so bad. It just
Free
takes
with
out all
free
the-
with ads on
Wait,
Vudu.
really?
Yeah.
They say it's the.
Yeah,
I
people are
kinda
like,
have to
it's
watch
such,
and see
oh my
why it
God.
got ruined.
Well, then you have to tell us, like, is it just the worst?
If it's under 2 hours, I'll check it out.
I think it is.
If it's over 2 hours, fuck that movie.
Yeah, that'd be a long remake.
The thing is, though, is I love hearing about that. Like, oh, it ruins the first one. It's like, okay, what did you do?
But a lot
Like,
of
I
those
have
remakes,
to know.
especially foreign films, do ruin them. Like, Let Me In, like, Let the Right One In, it was perfect. Why did they do that? There was no reason. It was just a worse version of the same movie.
Listeners, have you seen Martyrs? Why don't you let us know on our social medias? We got a Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You can find everything we're at.
We're on Threads. We're on
Are you
Blue
really?
Sky. We're on
Are you on
Tubi.
Blue Sky?
No, I know.
We're not on any of those things. You can find everything we're up to at thegravetalk.com. Keep your eyes on our social medias to find out what's coming up next. Listeners, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.